Jake, I got to tell you, I am stunned at the level of stupidity around this Michigan football scandal. And I feel like it's the biggest story in sports because we took so much heat over the weekend. If you read the comments section on our Michigan videos and you start to understand the depth of desperation for Michigan fans to hang on to any sense of a superior position in college football, I think that's all dead now. The NCAA, according to sources, now has evidence, financial records, as we told you they were chasing, video evidence that they expect to have in hand tomorrow from 11 different Big Ten universities, where a University of Michigan football staffer purchased more than 30 tickets over the last 3 years in 11 Big Ten venues, including this past weekend's Ohio State-Penn State game. None of those games, allegedly, none of those games included Michigan on the field. This is now not a question of, hey, well, maybe did they get it wrong? Did it happen? The NCAA, the Big Ten, and Michigan all have what seems to be pretty concrete evidence of a massive, wide-reaching cheating scandal by the University of Michigan football program to gain a competitive advantage on the field. And Jake, the thing that is very clear to me, I do not know how you allow Michigan football to compete in the postseason this year, and I have no idea how Jim Harbaugh continues at Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just wondering when Michigan, the Big Ten, are going to step in and take control. I mean, how long are we going to dance around what this actually is? Because as he just said, they have all the evidence they need. It's plain as day what happened here. And I'm just curious how long Jim Harbaugh and company continue to get the free pass, because it's all well and good if you discipline him in the offseason, but what price is that? Because everyone knows he's going to leave anyway. So who the hell cares if you discipline him in the offseason? I think you got to discipline him now. I think you got to discipline him. And I think if you want him to pay the price, you got to discipline Michigan football. And I wonder, at what point does the NCAA start to say, okay, I don't know if this is a loss of, institutional control per se by the actual definition.
How could it not be?
Well,
I mean, and when you say this is what we talked about on Friday, and everybody told us that we just hate Jim Harbaugh and we hate Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
When the truth is the evidence cannot be ignored anymore.
Yeah.
And if you want to talk about the loss of institutional control, you're talking about a football coach who has the run of the joint. It's not even in question. He admitted to wrongdoing, self-imposed a 3-game suspension for COVID period recruiting violations.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't even a question anymore that he watched workouts over Zoom, that he met in person with recruits during the COVID dark period. Like, he committed foundational no-nos according to the NCAA rulebook during COVID. Now you have substantial evidence, including video evidence of a Michigan staffer purchasing 30 tickets in 11 different Big Ten football buildings of future opponents. And you have video surveillance of people in those seats pointing cameras at the sideline. And I would note, they bought tickets on both sides of the stadium so that they could video both sides of the field, the sidelines.
Yeah.
Like, this is, how is this anything but a loss of institutional control?
Yeah, and so I think if the NCAA takes that route, I mean, I obviously, you would expect them to suspend Jim, and you would expect them to, take more immediate action. But again, this leads me back down the road of how serious is the NCAA about this, and really how serious is the Big Ten about this? Because again, we're in a time where you're adding schools, you're expanding. So what kind of message does this send to the incoming members? I mean, I think it's a very important time on a number of fronts. But yeah, I think, Jim is everything you would expect in a schemer. I mean, everything from recruiting to now this illegal scouting situation. Like, I just don't know, again, what, Michigan's hanging on to. That's what I don't understand. Like, it doesn't really matter, as I always say, what you did per se. It's if you can get out of it. And you're not getting out of this one because he was sloppy with what he did here.
It is the absolute, and 9 times out of 10, this next phrase is a bunch of BS. This is the integrity of the game. This is the difference between winning and losing.
Yeah.
This is Michigan knowing what play was called, and arguably what the audibles are. Like, they have it all, and they're dominating. You have a situation where when we talk about on the field integrity and what matters on the field, this is what matters. Michigan is now the betting favorite to win the national championship over Georgia. I don't know how many people realize that. Do you also understand that J.J. McCarthy is now the betting favorite to win the Heisman Trophy? And I don't know how else to say it other than Michigan should not be allowed to play in the postseason.
Yeah.
And everybody is going to say, hey, that's punishing the kids. Well, guess what? You chose to play for the guy. And you can't tell me that the kids don't know this is going on. And this excuse from Jim Harbaugh where he said, I had no idea. Are we really buying the fact that Jim Harbaugh didn't know this was going on? And if he didn't know, call him Pat Fitzgerald and suspend him under pending investigation. Because
we clear on that?
You cannot have Jim Harbaugh finish the season. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You cannot. You cannot have this Michigan football team that now has hard evidence showing how, when, and where they stole signals from other teams to win football games. How do you legitimately allow the Michigan Wolverines to compete in the college football playoff? How do you, if you're the Big Ten, and I would go back and remind you, the NCAA notified the Big Ten, who made a statement about this and notified all future opponents. I mean, think about how gravitational that is, the pull that has. That the Big Ten, the NCAA, warned the future opponents, made an announcement before a statement of allegations came out. They've got Michigan cold. They've got Jim Harbaugh cold. So how then do you allow them to play in the college football playoff? Because the other part of this that you got to remember is it's meaningless for USC to have not won those national championships because Reggie Bush. What did you take them away? Last time I remember, they still played in the game and they still won the national championships.
Facts.
You can take away Reggie Bush's Heisman trophy, which they have.
Yeah.
He still was in New York raising the thing up on the podium. And it's all well and good that we do that. But what about the people who compete at a legitimate level? What about the teams like Georgia and Alabama who probably do the same thing? But guess what? They haven't been caught, so I have no idea if they ran a red light or they rolled through a stop sign or if they weren't speeding because there was no cop to catch them.
Well, and that's what I think Michigan fans should be upset about. This is not a conversation about, hey, like everyone hates us and it's Jim and everyone hates Jim. No, what you should be upset about is that Jim is not as good as his peers at doing what he does, right? So number one, you're not as good just straight up. If you set the cheating thing aside, because that's what I'm calling it, cheating. Hey, you're just not as good at building a program. You're not as good at recruiting. You're not as good at winning football games and building game plans and watching a film to understand what the opposition has to offer. You're not as good at that part, because if you were as good at that part, you wouldn't be doing this stuff. So then we start there. Then we move on to the cheating part. So you're not as good as winning straight up. So you decide you want to cheat and you still lose. If you're a Michigan fan, how is this still your guy? How are you still sitting here saying things like everybody hates us and, you guys just don't like Jim? At what point do you start saying, yeah, I still think you guys don't like Jim because I don't like Jim, but I still think you guys don't like Jim. But the reality is Jim's let us down here because ultimately it does not matter who's doing it. I agree. I think everyone's doing it. This is not about everyone, though. This is about who they got. And that's what I think Michigan fan is not ready to talk about yet. And so that's why I say, I agree with the sentiment in college football, certainly. You're not cheating, you're not trying. But again, if you're going to cheat, you damn well better not get caught.
Well, but I also agree, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. Everybody is on the line and probably has several toes across it.
Yeah.
The difference is those that get caught. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is it's only cheating if you get caught.
Yeah.
And Jim Harbaugh, not once, but twice now, has been caught flagrantly skirting the system in college football. I don't know what we're waiting for. I don't. And if Jim Harbaugh is allowed to compete in the college football playoff, it is a travesty of justice, because you have no idea if he won these games fair and square. And it's very clear, you know, that he did not. So how can you justify having Jim Harbaugh in Michigan in the college football playoff? I don't know how you can.
Yeah.
And it is remarkable to me that we're going to play this game where, hey, you know what? Yeah, well, there's nothing you can really do. Actually, there is something you can do. And in my opinion, Jim Harbaugh should not be coaching Michigan right now.
No, absolutely
he
not.
certainly should not.
I mean, even if it's initially, like, even if the marketing standpoint is, okay, yeah, Jim's got to step away just for now because of this investigation. You know, Michigan athletics has the highest standards, X, Y, and Z. Okay, cool. But my question is, even when he got suspended or suspended himself, he was still there every day. He just couldn't be there on game days. So at what point do we start, like, enforcing the rules?
At what point is a real punishment for a significant cheating scandal going to be handed out? That's the question. In the comment section, we have a poll working right now. Should Michigan be allowed to compete in the college football playoff? 70% saying no, they should not. Where are you at on that? Hit the poll in the comments section. Appreciate everybody interacting. So again, just to run through this real quick, we have new details for you in the Michigan sign stealing scandal. The NCAA, as you will remember, is investigating Michigan for sending personnel to future opponent stadiums to videotape sidelines to decipher signals from future opponents. Today, according to ESPN, who's done some really good reporting on this, the NCAA has evidence that this person, this analyst, he was a football analyst, purchased 30 tickets to 11 different venues across Big Ten football, gave those tickets to other people so that they would go to those stadiums and film sideline signals. There is video evidence that the NCAA will have in its possession tomorrow from these 11 venues where security footage shows the people in those seats pointing a phone, almost stagnant as it was described to me, at those sidelines, filming signals. So this is absolutely, I mean, this is the smoking gun. If this video evidence, and it is said to be clear, and the other thing that I think is so clear, people were really fed up with Jim Harbaugh and his antics, because it's the universities, as we thought and told you on Thursday and Friday, it's the universities who turned in Michigan.
Yeah.
It is these 11 venues who saw suspicious people and wondered what was happening. Not only that, I would remind you that this football analyst purchased the tickets in his own name over 3 seasons. What does that tell you? He turned in expense reports. And this is not going to be hard to track down. The analyst was on the sideline. Here he is in the red circle, right next to Jim Harbaugh. I would also remind you that the way they say that this worked was that he would get the video of those sidelines. He would break down the signals. He would then know the signals when those teams played Michigan. And there's video of this football analyst signaling in to captains on the field, talking to the defensive coordinator, who would then, confirm the call from the sideline to the field. There's quite literally signals of this football analyst seeing the sign come in, making signals, pounding the side of his hat, touching his elbow or his shoulder, punching forward, and then running over to the defensive coordinator who put his hands up to certify the call that went in.
Yeah.
And the funniest part of this is it's believed Rutgers is one of these schools, and Rutgers is openly complaining that Michigan knew every one of their plays. So wait, let me get this right. You were concerned about Rutgers, so you stole every one of their plays. It wasn't necessarily always going to be Penn State and Ohio State, although an important detail is they had tickets for Ohio State and Penn State this weekend. Well, Michigan was in East Lansing. Like, it's remarkable. It's remarkable the stupidity that this guy went to.
And you understand why the schools wound up being the ones that turned him in. I mean, these schools are not stupid, right? I mean, football, the Greg Schianos of the world have been doing this a long time, bro. Greg Schiano, head coach at Rutgers, damn well knows when something's not right.
And who did Greg Schiano work for in the NFL? Does anybody remember? Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. So when something's not right, I'm going to guess that Greg Schiano is one of the people qualified to know it's not right.
And that's why I say, like, I think this is so much more than just the violation itself. It speaks to Jim's character. When this first came out, I felt like there was a good chance Jim had sent someone rather than them just getting caught in financial land on paper, because Jim's always been that guy. Jim's always been brazen. He's always been the guy that thinks he can just do what he wants and he won't get caught. And I only ever said that because of the COVID dark period stuff. Like, if you really take a second and think about it, you understand just how upfront and straightforward you got to be about it.
Brazen's the right word.
Like, I mean, you just got to not care if anyone's going to catch you. You just so brazen.
What are you going to do about it?
Right.
What are you going to do about it?
I mean, it's not like he's, giving it Tony Soprano energy. Oh yeah.
What are you going to do about it?
You guys are going to catch me. You don't want to meet my friend, right? It's as if that's how he was behaving.
Yeah, turn me in. Go ahead.
So the idea that you would send someone on the road, and now we know it's two people on the road.
It's wild.
To do this is hardly surprising. And so then I go a step further because I know for a fact this is how this works. Guys like Greg Schiano and the rest of them in the Big Ten and any other football conference, football professionals, guys who've been doing this their entire career, are not going to stand to be disrespected in that way. You can disrespect someone by beating them straight up, but if you're going to cheat and then throw it in their face, and this was your point last week, against teams like Rutgers or any of the low-end, Big Ten teams, dude, if you're going to cheat and just pound those teams, you're not giving them a choice.
No.
Like what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah, nothing good. 165 votes in our poll question in the comment section. Should Michigan be allowed to compete in a college football playoff? 77% say no, they should not. And that really is a question. You guys, what do you think? Get in the comment section. Let's talk about it. We'll get to the games in about 10 minutes here from the weekend. But where do you guys come down on this? I think it is a sensational breaking news story today that this Michigan football analyst bought 30 tickets to games and gave them to people to go and videotape sidelines. And he got caught. And the game included last Saturday, 2 days ago, Penn State and Ohio State at the Shoe. He had bought tickets to those games. 30 games. That's wild to me. What do you guys think? Should Harbaugh be suspended? Should Michigan be allowed to participate in the college football playoff? And do you think anything will come of this? Your comments are next, but as usual, right now, it's time to hit a buckshot from BuckedUp. So many people over the weekend went and got the samples. You guys, go get them right now. They're in the comment section below. They're going to send you 6 free buckshot samples to your front door. Right now, all you got to do, click the link, put in your information, zing. They will show up at your front door, and it will change the way you look at energy. This is not full of sugar. It's not full of artificial flavors and colorings. It's 200 milligrams of caffeine and a bunch of brain food, and it just makes you feel better. I will tell you right now, I have a headache today, so I have been looking forward to 320 all afternoon. I have that little, that little headache you get?
The background headache, bro.
Where you're grinding and you're staring at a computer screen all day and you're on calls and meetings. That's been me all day. Let's hit a buckshot and feel better. There it is. Go get it in the description below. There is a link. Click it. They'll send you 6 right to your front door. Back in the gym today. I got on the scale this morning. I have lost all of my weight. I'm really close. I'm about 22 pounds away, and I have a month to lose 22 pounds.
What do you bench?
Probably not going to happen, realistically. But I have done really well losing weight. I was looking at golf swing videos this morning. I was so much heavier in April than I am right now. Like, we were playing golf yesterday and my clothes are falling off. And I give a lot of that credit to BuckedUp. The proteins, the creatines, the pre-workouts. We golfed yesterday. I ran out of water. My wife gave me some of their electrolytes. It makes a huge difference. Hook it up right now, buckedup.com. Make sure you use the promo code Monty20 to save 20% off at checkout at buckedup.com. But again, go get the free samples of the buckshot in the comments below, or in the description below, rather, excuse me. And they'll send them right to your door for free. By the way, we are watching the Major League Baseball playoffs. Bottom of the first, Merrill Kelly and the Diamondbacks are in real trouble. First and second, one out, and it is Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber on base, with Bryson Stott at the plate. No score, bottom of the first. Nola struck out the side for Philadelphia. We'll keep you updated on that game. But let's get your comments on Jim Harbaugh. Let's see, who's first in.
Yeah, who's first today, man? It's Monday. Like,
Ryan Willie, first in. The Big Ten won't do anything during the season. Michigan equals ratings. As a Badger fan, I hate Michigan. Michigan's one of the most highly rated television games of the week, every single week. And Jake puts up the ratings every week, usually Tuesday or Wednesday. We talk about it. They're at the top of the list almost every week.
Yeah.
So Ryan, I think that's a great point. Thank you for the $5. B, who's been a member of the show for 6 months.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go, B. Who reported it to the NCAA? It's looking like 11 member institutions in the Big Ten got together and said enough's enough. And I can tell you that our sources have told us that it was an open secret, that everybody knew Jim Harbaugh was doing this. And it got really bad really at the end of last season. And then I have to believe their victories over Ohio State really set off some alarm bells. And then just the way he went about beating lesser opponents in the Big Ten, I think really pissed some people off.
Because you don't do that. You don't, like, it's about how you went about it. It's not that you beat them by 30. You're supposed to beat them by 30. They just know that going in, but it's how you beat them by 30, yes. Right? Like, hey, if they turn it over 4 times and you just took advantage of that, no one's going to think twice. Hey, that was Rutgers. They played like crap. That's what they were supposed to do, and they did what they're supposed to do. But if they're gonna play their best game and you're in every perfect position to make every tackle and they never had a chance,
and that's what stood out to people.
Yeah,
that Michigan's defense, specifically Michigan's defense, was in the right formation and had guys in the right place, because every play is designed to go a certain place. And once you decipher the signal that's coming in, right? So they videotape the sideline and you see the guys waving their arms and putting up signs. And once you're able to break that down and you know, okay, this is a toss sweep, that toss sweep, okay, well, let's go look at Ohio State film or at Rutgers film. Well, when they run toss sweep, it always goes to the B gap, or they're always trying to seal with a wide receiver in motion. That tells you where the power point of the play is. Where's the tipping point of the play? They want to seal that edge with a receiver in motion here, and then you're probably gonna move a guard that, like, you're gonna know exactly what they're gonna do, and you're going to be able to stack and likely have a linebacker fill.
Yeah.
And that's what Michigan was doing. They were beating the lesser teams in the league. Then they beat Ohio State 2 years in a row. Like, the other schools are the ones who turn them in. There's no doubt. And much to your point, pretty much now everybody knows they were unable to scout the college football playoff the last 2 years. So what happened? They got boat raced. They got beat very badly. Funny how it demoralizes your kids when they don't have the advantage of knowing the play that's coming.
Because think about how much that would change your process as a coaching staff to prepare your team.
Think about how much that would change your confidence as a linebacker or a safety or a corner, knowing, okay, Marvin Harrison Jr. is getting this ball. Jackson Smith and Jigba is getting this ball. I know that, so I know exactly where I'm supposed to run to, because let's say that it's a go route for Marvin Harrison Jr. you'll just watch his last 50 go routes. So you'll know that they always run that up the seam, right? Or, hey, he always runs the boundary and they throw it short. So now you're not going to play it over the top. What are you going to do as a corner? You're going to play it to his back shoulder. So do you ever have to turn around and look for the ball? Well, you don't really. And then when you see his eyes go up, then you just turn around and run to his back shoulder, or you put your arm out to his back shoulder. It's a massive advantage.
Yeah.
It's not a small advantage, because when you know the play, then you can isolate each player and each call for the players that get the ball. It gives you a huge advantage. Now, you still got to be there and make the play, but when you know what's coming and where it's coming and how they're going to do it and what the guard and the tackle are doing and what the wide receiver is going to do, dude,
it robs your opposition of their athletic advantage.
Yes. It's remarkable to me. It's absolutely remarkable. All right, who's first in today? Let me go all the way back to the top. Wow, you guys in the comments today, amazing. Appreciate you very much. Let's see. First one in. Shaner was first one in. What's up? Gumby Fresh Out. What's up? LV Seminole. What's up? He says 40,000 subs. Damn right. Almost at 41. You guys, if you're not a subscriber, one, you can't comment. But please, if you're thinking about subscribing, please give us a thumbs up. Everybody hit the like button. And everybody subscribe. We're trying to get to 50,000 by January 1st. So let's hook that up. Shaner, yes, I agree. It's amazing. Big Blue Horses. It's called football cannibalism. Pac-12 does it every year. Well, and I think that's a really interesting point, because one of the things we need to start mixing in here is Lincoln Riley failing USC. I don't want to hear any more slander of Kyle Whittingham in Utah football, because I'm at the point, and I know that I have been accused of being a Utah football fan. I'm a fan of Kyle Whittingham. There is no question about that. Let me state it right now. I love the guy. He's a really good human being, a damn good football coach. And it's awfully difficult once you know him a little bit. And I wouldn't say I know him, but I've covered him long enough to know that he's a good dude who you want to root for. And he did it again. He did it again. He beat Lincoln Riley again. And it's time to stop talking about Lincoln Riley being the golden child of the Pac-12, because the best coach in this conference right now is Kyle Whittingham, and I think it's by a lot. And I don't know necessarily that it's not probably level-headed to say that Lincoln Riley is failing USC. I think the climb, talent-wise, from what he was handed is pretty steep. But here's what I know. Utah is one of the best teams in the country. Utah is, in my opinion, going to again compete without their best quarterback, Cam Rising, who's out for the year, without Brant Keithy, one of the best tight ends in the country, maybe the best, out for the year. You're going to compete for a Pac-12 championship without arguably your two best players. And now arguably your best linebacker in Lander Barton out for the year. And you still beat SC's ass. That's saying something. And it wasn't altitude or temperature. That game was in Los Angeles at the Coliseum. Let me say it again. You still beat USC's ass.
I'm for real.
Because Kyle Whittingham's a dog. He's a bad dude. He's an ass kicker and a fantastic coach with a really good process in place. And Jake, I just don't think Kyle Whittingham gets the credit he deserves.
No, and I think that, you know, this loss by USC, you know, I felt like was just Utah being better. Like Utah outcoached Lincoln and his staff. I'm talking about scheme. I'm talking about tackling technique. I'm talking about just instinctual football. Like you could see on that final drive where Bryson Barnes takes that huge shot, looks a little woozy getting up, that this team was never going to quit and not get in field goal position. You could tell that this team believed they could win the game. Just the same way you could tell that USC's defense knew they were losing this game. And that's what really stood out to me about this game, is that the confidence was there even without all your best talent, which tells me Kyle Whittingham is in fact a hell of a head coach. Not that I ever really doubted that, but I just think when you see him do things like this and really, you know, close that gap, right? Because that was the conversation going into this game. Hey, you know, no Cam Rising, no Brant Keithy, missing key contributors in other areas. How are they going to have any chance? And then what does Kyle Whittingham do? Kyle Whittingham takes his ass to work, comes up with a game plan that beats USC, and now we get to sit here on Monday and listen to Lincoln Riley make excuse after excuse in the postgame. So it is truly every single year. And SC's lucky. They're going to the Big Ten. Kyle Whittingham's going to the Big 12. So these two won't see each other for a little while. But if Whit is right with what he said earlier in the season, that one day, hey, we're going to be in the same conference as UCLA, these two will match up again. And I would hope by then Lincoln Riley's recruited long enough to have level footing in terms of talent and to have figured out a process that prepares his team, because I just don't think he was ready. I think they walked in there thinking that they were way more talented, that Utah wasn't going to stand a chance, that they were just better. And once again, you were not better. And that's what I think is so difficult to handle.
Yep, totally agree. Update for you in the NLCS Game 7. Tommy Pham has taken Aaron Nola deep. It is 1-0 Arizona in the top of the second. The Diamondbacks were able to slither.
See what he did there, because it's
Snakes,
the Diamondbacks.
The Diamondbacks. Oh, boy, is it 2-0. It is 2-0 Arizona, as they have hit another home run now. Boy, how about Nola getting beat up a little bit here? He cruised through the first, striking out all three, and now he has got nobody out in the second inning, and he's given up back-to-back jacks to Pham and Gurriel. Lourdes Gurriel with a rocket to left, so it is now 2-0 Arizona over Philadelphia. Boy, this is what you love about the NLCS, man. This is what you love. This is going to be pretty good. This will be pretty good. All right, let's get your thoughts. Again, if you're just tuning in, I see everybody jumping on board. Should Michigan be banned from the postseason, and should Jim Harbaugh be suspended pending the outcome of this investigation? There is a poll question in the comments section where the yes is getting beaten thoroughly by the no. Should Michigan be allowed to compete in the college football playoff? 73% of almost 300 votes say no, they should not.
Yeah, and I just don't know how, if you're someone who voted yes, I'd love to hear your logic. I mean, I don't understand, how we're going to reward them with that opportunity after what's gone on.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's no longer our opinion that that's what's gone on. It's fact.
Yep. Mike Smith, how are you? Good weekend for West Virginia? No, it wasn't, actually. The mullet gotcha. Jim needs a good swift kick to the front and back of his khakis. Yeah, a lot of people agree with you on that.